area that should be free to grow marijuana. They've clear-cutted trees. I can't even cut trees down in my yard without going to you people, to the county, to get permission. They clear-cut a whole area in the backyard, put up these ugly fences. This is a beautiful area. It's the reason I moved up there. It's the reason my brother moved up there and many other people that I know. Please, deal with this quickly. And the whole plan of this thing isn't whether or not the poor lady that came up here can smoke marijuana. You don't need 99 plants for one person to smoke marijuana. I can grow 2 plants and have enough to last me months. I've seen it. I know what it can do, how much you can grow, and I just wish that we could get this problem solved. My house values I've been trying to sell my house now, and I'm getting a lot of flack from people, especially correctional officers, who are a lot of the people that need to buy in this area. So I'd appreciate it if you'd act quickly. Thank you very much.
Doreen Freeling from Susanville. I want to thank Jim for recognizing that the city is going through the same factors. It would be helpful to everyone if the city and the county had the same regulations. I've made a couple recommendations to the city, one of them being that people who are growing own the property, and if they don't own the property, they must have notarized consent from the property owner who knows that they are growing on that property. I think that would eliminate a lot of trouble. I also think that enforcement is going to be expensive, and there should be the requirement of a grow permit. I mean, you have to have a permit to put a garage in, so if you're going to grow a crop, then you should have a permit that helps fund the agency that's going to oversee the grows, and that way it wouldn't deplete the sheriff's department and the city police department of their policing monies that should be going elsewhere. Thank you.
Let me just have a minute because I wanted to know about this 99 plant business, so I Googled it. And I came up with a website, fireduplawyer.com. It's a woman. She's an attorney. I'm with her. She's got a button that says, "Trust me, I'm a doctor." Then she says, "Stop buying bogus growers licenses from shady doctors." And that's what's going on here in the medical marijuana community, which I would like to address. She is telling us that she gets calls every week. And people are buying them for $200 more, and I've had people, to my shock and horror, tell me they have 99 plant grows. They're bogus, flat out. They're illegal. This woman attorney says so. Our state laws, while she says that if they only allow as much as medically necessary, they would have to prove how much they're growing of these 99 plants and how much they need. And their doctor would have to come forward and say, they need not 900, they need 100 pounds because they have 100 plants. That's not going to fly. They know better than this. The medical marijuana community needs to pull up its pants and grow up and abide by the rules.
Can I say something in clarification? Yeah. There is a difference between Lake Forest and Janesville, Lake Forest and Susanville. We're 100% residential property. She has horses. The CC&Rs that every buyer of a house that buys at Lake Forest gets, so she can't have horses inside Lake Forest. That's a zoning rule. So Janesville is different. And what you guys have to face, and without us, is you have to be able to cater to each and every different individual area. Lake Forest is a residential area. There is also, somebody asked about how can you tell whether there's how much marijuana it takes. Marijuana is one of the most difficult drugs to qualify for release all these. It doesn't have a lot of objective symptoms and stuff. But the most important way to determine whether something is for personal use or for commercial use is you take the number of hours in a day and you then compare them to the amount of marijuana that is used or the amount of heroin or the amount of anything else. And each one of them has an effective date or effective time period that stays in your bloodstream, reacting and shutting down the brain. So when you want to know how much is the difference between a drug for personal use and drug for commercial use, you simply look at how long the effects stay on the body, in which for like heroin is about 4 hours. So every 4 hours you need to take a new dose of medicine. By the way, heroin started life as a medical anesthetic. So did cocaine. Cocaine can still be prescribed by a doctor for like this. But you're getting pharmaceutical quality cocaine. But it comes from the same company that makes our aspirins and the rest of them. It meets drug enforcement FDA standard. And marijuana is a little different, but you have to look at what is a commercial operation versus what is a residential operation in personal use. And so that is a difference. But there are ways to tell the difference. And when you get to a certain point, that's when people go to the district attorney's office wanting people prosecuted for commercial use. You have to take a look at things, but it sounds like you're looking more from the zoning and a land use issue, which has to be taken into consideration, the difference between Lake Forest, Lake Lebanon Estates, which is similar to us, and people that have 80-acre parcels out in the county. So it is going to be a zoning and a land use issue, much more so. You can't stop it pretty much. It's pretty much the voters want. But what you have to do is regulate where it's going and how it's going. And that's what I think we need to look at, is individual communities. And you have to take input from the individual neighbors. Our property values are important to us.
Hi, my name is Justin Stark. I'm a resident of Lake Forest. I've lived there for about 3 years now. I have 6 children who play out in the street all the time. I just recently, in the last couple months, found out about these grows that are going in the neighborhood. I saw the 8-foot plywood fences that were sitting outside talking to one of the neighbors as he came walking up with his 2 dogs that have been mentioned a couple times. They are big dogs. We don't have any problems with them. But I told my kids to stay off that road. He owns, or somebody owns, multiple houses, multiple parcels. They've already started growing up 2 that I know of, plants you can see growing up above the fence. Property value has been discussed here. I know I wouldn't want to buy a home if I knew that hundreds of plants are being grown. I have no idea how many is growing, but you can smell it. You can see it. People are nervous about it. My wife is nervous about it. My kids, they go around the neighborhood. We worked with Mr. Pyle a couple years ago to get the speed limits changed. Thank you. I would just really hope you guys do something about this, because this is a very conservative county compared to a lot of other counties in the state anymore. It's very depressing. As soon as I retire from High Desert State Prison, I will be leaving the state. It's unfortunate. It's a beautiful area. My grandma grew up here. Her brother still lives here. They've been here since the 30s. It's unfortunate. And I really hope and pray that you guys will make an ordinance in a residential area in this county to ban medical marijuana grow outside. I mean, a couple of plants inside. When I was a kid, I had friends that grew one plant in their house for their parents' recreational use. And that's all I ever saw. I never saw 10, 19, 25, 100 plants. You didn't see that. I just really hope you guys will do something to save our neighborhoods, to save our county. And, it's unfortunate how this county, I have a piece of property put up for sale right now. And I was told by the realtor when I put it for sale, don't be surprised if you get an offer from someone wants to grow marijuana. And I looked at her and what are you talking about? She said they're coming over here with bags of money and they're buying up what they can. And so far I've been informed that there's 6 parcels on Lassen Way or Lassen Street in Lake Forest, plus 2 more in escrow possibly for this one purpose. And so just one more time, I really hope and pray that you guys will do away with this. Thank you.
Dennis Hines, I live in Doyle. I'm a medical marijuana patient. I grow my own. It takes me about 10 plants to get enough marijuana to last through the year for my own personal use, and I smoke a lot. I could make tinctures if I wanted to, extracts if I wanted to, but I don't. A little bit, but not that much. Okay, last year the UN High Commissioner on Drugs formed a committee. They suggested that drugs be legalized worldwide. Last year, the presidents and the heads of state of most of the Latin American countries convened a summit in Central America, and they invited President Obama. The summit was to discuss the feasibility of legalizing drugs in the Western Hemisphere because thousands of people are losing their lives because of prohibition. Now, medical marijuana is in 22 plus states now. 2 states, Colorado and Washington, have legalized personal use of marijuana. We see how that progresses. Okay, Proposition 575 was originally written and passed by the board, which most of them aren't here anymore, the guys who passed it. Anyway, 575 was originally written and passed, and it's pretty harsh for people who want to grow. Now, this was in response to a complaint. Now, apparently this meeting today that garnered a lot of reaction, a lot of support, and a lot of comment, it's in response to a complaint. So I'm looking at zoning violations that we've had, and a chance that I had, which was about 5 years ago, to meet the code enforcement agent, who has retired since then, in my front yard. And we had a nice talk. And I asked him why he was looking at the place next door, and he said, well, somebody complained. I said, well, it wasn't me, and I know it wasn't my neighbor over here. Was it somebody going by on the highway, or somebody flying over in an airplane? Well, he said, I don't know. But somebody complained. What we have here is government by complaint. If somebody complains, we do something. If somebody comes with a great suggestion that doesn't quite fit in, we step away from it. Medical marijuana is the real deal. And marijuana is the best, by far, recreational drug. Alcohol is responsible for major domestic violence, reports, disputes, and so forth. It's debilitating to the system. Like, would anybody even considering outlawing alcohol? No. It's a great way to break the ice. It's a great way to have a few drinks with some friends and get together. But some people, just like anything else, some people go overboard on it. They can't handle it. They wind up having to go into treatment because of it. And some people, it kills them. Tobacco kills continuously still. In the last 20 years, tobacco keeps killing 440,000 Americans every year. It's not illegal. Neither is alcohol. Why is pot illegal? It's coming around, folks. Believe me. It will be legalized. There's a comprehensive initiative that's going on the 2016 ballot. It's not going to happen this year. But in 2016, you pretty much count on it in California. What do you need to do to deal with this? Now, I don't know if Lake Forest, Janesville, or Standish, or any other outlying communities in Lassen County have their own governments or whatever. And like if most of the complaints from Lake Forest or from other places seem to be not because of marijuana itself, but because of people who are growing it are antisocial. They got bad dogs and they don't behave properly. So I'm thinking that maybe what you can do is continue this government by complaint stuff. People in the Lake Forest don't like it. Don't let anybody grow up there. I mean, can you say, well, that people can't grow in Lake Forest and then say that you can grow in the rest of the county, or is that taboo? I don't know, guys. It's a can of worms. I just thought I'd stick my little can in. Thanks a lot. I know you're doing a great job.
Okay, well, thank you for the comments. We appreciate it, and I'm going to go to start with you, Supervisor Hammond.
It does seem as if some of the larger grows are producing 90% of the complaints in the communities. I just wrote down some things that, and I don't know if they'll work or not. This is my first exposure to this stuff. And I asked Dean if the Sheriff's Department inspected the grows. Why couldn't,
Turn it off and then on.
It's okay. He fixed it.
I think everybody can hear me. Why can't we keep track of the medical marijuana licenses and the amount of plants and license? And have inspections on the grow. And have a fee for the inspection. If there's any problems, they can be addressed at that point. Maybe to avoid a lot of these problems that people in Lead Lake are having. I noticed that they're talking about solve some of the problems. It's legal. I don't know what you can't enforce it. The Sheriff's Department, I can see bunches of litigation coming our way. It's an idea. Have an inspection fee. Make sure they're within the realms of their license.
Okay. I want to thank all the people that called me. I sure want to thank all of you for taking time out of your day and coming here. I very strongly believe communities like Lake Forest were established to raise families, not marijuana. Second, I would say I am not against the use of medical marijuana. I'm not against that. People that need it and have a card, have a legitimate sickness, whatever they need it, to grow what they need to themselves, that's good. That's no problem. I am against these big commercial grows, these large grows in these backyards, where it's fence to fence, and neighbor gathering. I'm against that in residential areas. That is not fair to the neighbor to have to put up with what they have to put up with. It's not fair to the neighbor to what that draws. Mr. Bartlett was talking about pit bulls killing cows. Was it in this county that I had a 2,000-pound bull, you just bought it, $7,000, and 6 cows in another county killed by pit bulls. These guys turned them loose intentionally, either marijuana grows to kill them. I'll tell you what, every one of them damn dogs are dead, and them guys are in the state penitentiary. And that's what marijuana brings to the community. Mr. Hines, I don't care what Obama does or Jerry Brown does. I care what this board here does in Lassen County. And that's what I am going to do, is do everything I can to stop marijuana being grown in residential areas where the neighbors have to put up with the trash that brings. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was actually going to leave to go to the solid waste board, to solve the solid waste problems.
thinking about those problems, I thought you were going to stay here because this one here might be a little easier to deal with. But that's not joking. We know it's been an hour since that meeting started, so it doesn't make sense to go on. But I do want to say a few things that I wrote down. I pretty much wrote down everybody's comments. I got 3 pages. There were 28 speakers, and I appreciate it. I'll wait to see if they compare well with the first minutes. But I did appreciate hearing from both sides, the arguments that were there. And I wrote down, summarized, and I'm going to read through my notes, what I think is important. First of all, the issue that was raised dealing with city versus county jurisdiction. I know that the city is dealing with that right now, and I think that we as a board can't regulate within the city limits, and it only makes sense that whatever sort of regulatory process that comes forward, that we need to do something that's consistent with the city, or there be some sort of shared perception there. So I would hope the staff could help facilitate the board having that particular conversation, or at least as they bring forward proposals for us to consider and act on, that they be vetted with the city, and that we're doing with the city, so that maybe there could be some commonality there. It may not be exactly the same, it may not be totally consistent, and their standards may be a little bit tougher or a little bit more linear, and I think there needs at least to be some respect for each other. That's the only way for people to deal with it. Second of all, I stated earlier I was opposed to Ordinance 575 at the time because the process that formed that ordinance was flawed, it was incomplete, it was skewed to one side of the debate. And that was the reason why I voted no. That didn't mean that I, as suggested by the one speaker, that I was in favor of one side versus the other. I just felt that the process that we were using was short in nature. It was not really designed to solve a long-term problem. It was designed to basically take care of a short-term issue. What I do feel strongly about, and I'm going to work with Mr. Pyle because I agree a lot with what Mr. Pyle just said, that the county needs to have a regulatory process that protects the individual rights of neighbors and neighborhoods while respecting the individual right to life, liberty, and property. We hear a lot about that. They're going to form the Jefferson State. It's all about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and property and so forth. As long as it doesn't impact the guy right next to you. And I think that's what government is all about. So we have to look at the common good. And I think individuals have individual liberties that need to be respected by government, but they also need to respect the fact that their liberties may come in conflict with somebody else's liberties. And I think that's what we see here. And if we think we've got a problem now, with Prop 215 in place, it's been 18 years, wait till we vote on the recreational use. If you think you got problems with marijuana grows, with medical marijuana needs, wait till you start having to deal with the recreational needs if California winds up joining Colorado and Washington State. And I think that's a societal thing, and it's not going to be decided here in Lassen County. And I can tell you, my one vote is not going to make a difference when it comes to resolving that issue. But I can tell you one thing. It's going to aggravate the problem we have. If we think we have issues now in the neighborhoods, we're going to have bigger issues when that comes forward. And I think some of what's happening in some of these other areas is also driving, I think, the activity. As we learned, I think in one presentation, it wasn't too long ago on the news, where they were showing how the cartels were coming in here into California, and they were scooping up the products, and they were shipping it to Florida. There was a huge market for it in Florida. There's an underground current there that we have to understand. There's a lot of business, a lot of money to be made in this area. Don't think that that's not going to affect the outcome. But I think we need to keep that in focus as we look for a solution. The debate a few years ago, was the emphasis was on that, well, we can do the dispensaries, and that was something that the law was pretty clear about. So we can go into these co-ops, and we're going to keep everything small, and I respect any what you're trying to do for your particular need, and maybe working with your particular people. You're the one that's going to get chewed and spit out by this bigger issue that's going on. You're the one that's going to be trampled in terms of your individual liberty because of the abuses by bigger cartels and the business interests, and that's what the sheriff is dealing with. But one question I did have, and it didn't really come up in the discussion, is how many 15 cardholders do we now have in the county? That was an issue that was raised at Jensen Hall. I think at that time we were dealing with somewhere between 1 and 200. Are we dealing with 200 now, or are we dealing with 500? we've got, 27,000 people living in the county, and we have 30,000 215 cards, then that may be an issue we need to take care of. And I do recall when those were being authorized, we had a big issue about it. The ordinance that was adopted by the board required that a sticker be applied to that card saying that card was not valid under federal law, even though it's taken a little different status. But I think it's important to know is that sticker is still being applied to the 215 cards that are being issued. And to sum it up, I think the problem's going to get bigger, but I think what we need to do is look at the regulatory standards, and I appreciate the paperwork that we received that shows what is happening around the state and the various levels. I think 99 plants is outrageous, just because the feds only start looking at serious prosecution starting at 100 plants does not give an automatic license to sanction 99 plants as being that. I'm going to respect the fact that 215 passed. I was one of the minority, 44% that voted no. But the 55% that voted yes also made assurances to the minority, this thing wasn't going to get out of hand. And so I think looking at a reasonable number, whether it's 2 plants or 5 plants, but I think what you start getting in is, was pointed out numerous times in testimony today, is that, the more plants you bring into it, that's what's going to bring the criminal element, that's going to bring in the nasty side of the business that's going to kind of overrun the various neighborhoods. And I think the bottom line is that if we're going to entertain a commercialization of the product to be grown, then I think it needs to be confined in the commercial zones. I think there's no place for it in a residential setting. We have a lot of businesses that exist in our community, and I think zoning and planning goes back now a good 60 years in which we've tried to shape our communities, and I think we need to. We got 4,500 square miles in Lassen County. We're the size of the state of Connecticut. And to think that we would have these kind of neighborhood disputes is just kind of beyond me. I think we ought to be able to at least find a few acres somewhere away from all the residential areas that people are trying to enjoy their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and make that be the focus if indeed we're going to tolerate a certain amount of commercialization of the growth of marijuana. So that's what I would hope that we can achieve with our discussion. I hope the process is full and complete, it's not cut short, and is one-sided and skewed. And if so, I'll be happy to vote for an ordinance that hopefully bring peace to the battle.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming, taking the time and giving the comments. Thank you, everybody, for coming and giving your time every day to talk to us.
The one fellow who was just up here in this force with the giant sweatshirt on, your sweatshirt's going to be outdated tomorrow. I'm anticipating. So anyway, just thank you guys. It's there's a lot of issues. It's a lot of heartfelt. Nobody should feel insecure about letting the kids go out and play. I mean, thank goodness I don't have a grow right next to me. But for my kids, I have the mountain lions and the bears you have to worry about. So, I mean, it's a tough deal. It's obvious the system is broke, and something needs to be fixed and changed. And that's what we're here for, and that's what we're going to do, is fix it so that it can be the medical side, just so they can still be taken care of with their needs, but also there is the safety for other people so that they can have their quality of life that they deserve for their kids and themselves and their spouses. And so that's what I have to say.
Actually, I could say something real quick, please. You guys mind?
We've got public comment.
There's nothing I can say. I can't get 1 minute. And you're.
I think he's concluded that. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I also want to thank everybody that came, and I have a couple of comments. There are a lot of things to consider. Supervisor Chapman, you made a good point about pursuit of life, liberty, happiness, and when we are putting lining things up in the order of importance, to me, the first thing I want to consider is those property owners
the family units, the safety of the children. They were here enjoying Lassen County before this law came into pass. You know, yes, the goalposts have been moved for those people that find themselves